Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today. I want to mention that this call is being recorded and it will be posted in the DaVinci platform next week. So here we are on our part 2, getting started with LQA and the My LQA app. So I really wanted again to thank you for joining us today. My name is Maria D'Angelo. I'm the Director of Quality Assurance and Operations Support EMEA, and I work very closely with our global team, Janet Suter and Daniela Delgado, to support all of you, our luxury properties around the globe, in our efforts to consistently deliver a luxury experience for every guest. Joining me today as your presenters are Nicholas Boucher and Ryan from LQA, who are amazing partners and the knowledge experts on the LQA website and the My LQA app. To the right, you should see familiar faces from your own continents. These individuals make up the LuxQ leadership team, and they are the key point person within your continents. I realize that we are in a transition for APAC, so please do not hesitate to reach out to Daniela or Janet with any questions. So without further ado, as we said, we are currently on part 2 of the Luxury Assessment Framework webinar series, and we are going to be focusing on unlocking the platforms, how to get started with LQA and the My LQA app. As a reminder, these calls are focused on supporting JW, Luxury Collection, and W Hotels, transitioning to the Luxury Assessment Framework in 2026. But we also have extended invites to leaders from other luxury brands that may have a new leader in place or simply they require a refresher. So, as part of our objective for today, we really want to ensure you walk away with knowledge on how to access the LQA site, how to log in, gain access, user access, navigation support tools, as well as an overview of the hotel assessment, benchmarking, and competitor sets, and how to use the LQA the hotel dashboard. Nicholas will cover this via a website demo, which is always useful to see it live in the system. And for the app, we will also have a look at a demo and give you an introduction to the My LQA app on how to conduct self-assessments and user management basics. We will end the call with Q&A, but in the meantime, feel free to type any questions you may have through the Q&A section in this call, and we will address those at the end of the call. So without further ado, I'll now hand it off to Nicholas. Over to you, Nicholas. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Maria, and good day to all of you, wherever you are in the world. As Maria said, I'm going to be doing a live demo, so just bear with me whilst I switch my screen. Okay, and hopefully you can all see my screen there. So for the purposes of today's demo, I'm going to be using a sample site, if you like, a demo site. So nobody's live data here, just fictitious data, but it will give you the idea of how the platform looks and works. We're going to start with logging in, and you're probably all interested to know when you're going to be able to do so. We're in the process of updating all of your data into the system, and we will be sharing with you an email later this week with instructions on how to log in. As you can see, this is the login page here. Your username will always be your email address, so the one that you use for work. And we will show you in the email that I'm going to send you how to set your password, which you will enter here. And you just continue. Okay, this is the landing page when you log in. It's the hotel dashboard, which gives you an overview of the reports that are available to you. But before we go through any of the sort of report data, I'm just going to start over here on the right and show you in the top right-hand corner, you can see where it says Demo General Manager. That will show your name when you're logged in, so you'll know who is logged into the site. And hovering over that, you'll be able to access your account. So if you need to update anything, such as your position, your alerts, preferences, etc., you can do so there. and also where you can go to log out from the platform. I'm going to drop into here into Manage Users under the Management tab just to explain the user levels, which will give a little bit of context for the rest of the presentation as well. So when we come in here, you can see you'll get a list of users that are available in your property. This list is available to admin users, which I believe most of you, or all of you, will be. As general managers or as quality managers, you'll be in the admin role. So you'll see all your users in the hotel and all access levels. You'll see whether the user is active, or you can toggle to inactive to see anyone that's been disabled. The easiest way to talk you through levels is to show you setting up a new user, and there's a button up here in the top right-hand corner. You will be responsible at a property level for managing your users. That's an important part of this, because obviously we don't know who's coming and going from within your hotel, and who needs to have access and what levels they need. So you do need to manage this, and again, any admin user can do that. So coming in here to showing you a new one. This client field will pre-populate, so it'll say Marriott International on yours up here. You would just enter the details of the user that you're adding. You can select a password, or you can select notify via email to send the password, and let them set up the password themselves. You can choose what kind of alerts the user is going to receive, but the important bit that I want to talk through today is down here at the bottom. And you can see user management. There are 4 levels, and I mentioned that you will all be admin, which is the highest level, and really the difference is admin can add, remove and edit users' accesses. A department manager, the next layer down, again, they can't do that managing of users, but they can still assign tasks. They can see all the reports that we're going to have a look through today, and they can assign tasks such as online training, self-assessments and action plans. Those tools we're going to look at in the next session, but just so you're aware that these users have the access to be able to assign these to other users. A basic user can only complete things that have been assigned to them by a department manager or an admin level user. And lastly, the viewer at the bottom here can only see things that are assigned to them. They don't see any of your report data. So they don't see any of the scores or anything like that. They only see the self-assessments, for example, that have been assigned to them. There's a little handy chart under this eye here. So if you click onto that, it'll just remind you of what these levels can and can't do. Lastly, we have to add the property. So you can always add properties to the same level that you have, or downwards, but never upwards. So if you have access to one property, this will be a very simple task. You just click add the brand, click and add the hotel. And again, if you only have access to one hotel, only one hotel will be visible in the list. And you click add. The reason we need to do this process is because some users should have access to more than one property. And if you were starting position and you already have that, you can also provide that like this. Okay. And then we create the user. So a fairly straightforward process. And I'd encourage you to get started with that as soon as you have access to onboard as many users as you would like to onto the platform. All right, so I'm going to move back over here to the hotel tab. So I mentioned when we logged in, we landed on the hotel dashboard. And I will go through the dashboard with you today. But before, I'm going to actually take you to the assessment summary, because this is where you will access your actual report when it has taken place. Now, one change we're making for this year is we're actually creating some sample demo reports that will be visible, because traditionally when you logged in and you had an assessment, some of these pages didn't populate. This time they will populate with the sample report, and that will remain available for you until such time as you've had your first official LQA assessment. At that point, the sample report will disappear and your real report will replace it. The idea behind this is it gives you a bit more opportunity to engage with the platform and practice and to see how things work and set up some self-assessments and action plans and so forth. So you will see data here. So here I am on the hotel assessment summary page. A few things to point out at the top. First of all, you can see where it says Demo Hotel Group. This will be populated with your brand name, so be that St. Regis or the Edition. It will say it here. If for any reason you do have access to more than one brand, you would be able to switch.
Rather than me sending this birthday amenity cakes like honeymoon cake inside the plate.
Just going to mute if I can. I can't. Thank you. Okay, so the brand, yeah. The next layer down, you can see the hotel name. Here you will again see your hotel name listed, and if you have the ability to see more than one hotel, you'll be able to switch between them here. Next to that, we've got the date of assessment. So this is going to show you the date that it took place, and once you start to have multiple assessments available, you will be able to go back and choose older ones to look at if you need to. We keep up to six available here. Okay, so this is what the assessment summary looks like, and right here at the top you can see the benchmark score. So this is in fact your hotel overall score, 85.2, and the brackets will represent the change to the previous report. Obviously, when you have your first assessment, this bracket won't be there, but when you have the second one, it'll start to appear. The report is then broken down into categories, so front of house, housekeeping, food and beverage product, with the relevant departments within each category. You can see that there is a subtotal score, and it may be helpful for you to know that the overall score is calculated as an average of all of the departments within, rather than an average of these category scores. So, in effect, every department has an equal weighting going into that overall score. Now, if we wanted to break this down in a bit more detail and read what happened, we can open up the sections by clicking on the links here on the left. So we can see this score of 59.4 for reservations. Let's say we wanted a bit more detail on this. So opening up the section, we can see there's the score, 59.4. We can see there are 36 points. Now, all benchmarking standards are worth 1 point, so that effectively means there are 36 standards within the section, of which 19 were met, 13 not met, and 4 not applicable. Using the color coding over here on the right, you can quickly identify standards that were marked not met, met, or not applicable. And if you want to read the comments, you can click on the little blue link here. So when we see that the telephone wasn't answered within 3 rings, we can click on the link and we can see that it was answered actually after 22 seconds with a suitable greeting. So it missed the standard because of the timing. All of the standards that are marked below will always have some kind of explanation here, so you'll be able to understand why the standard was not met. You can also click the expand all comments up here and it will open up all of the comments in one go. This will give you an easier view to read through quickly and see where you're missing out on your standards. Now, if I scroll through all of the standards down to here, you're going to see that there is an EI guest connection summary. This relates to the emotional connection, the guest connection that occurred. It could be with one employee, could be with multiple employees depending on the department. And you'll see that it just explains how the consultant felt during that interaction. You can see there's a descriptor word, content, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then this is followed by some positives, negatives, and recommendations in bullet point form. So just coming back up to the top and then over back to the summary page. A few other things to point out up here. We can see if there's a blue speech bubble, we can click onto that and it will just open up that EI guest connection summary and the bullet points directly here in a pop-up, so we don't actually need to scroll through all the standards if we just want to read this part. If there's a blue microphone, then there is a recording available and you can play it or download it to your computer here. And if there are photos, then there'll be a little blue photo icon, things like servicing and turn down. You can see here a messy room before servicing, after servicing, bathroom before and after. Okay. Just to point out down here, the last category, you can see this display only. You'll see it doesn't have a subtotal score. It does have individual departmental scores for digital and guest services, but these, because they are display only, do not impact the hotel overall score up here. We provide these separately for information, the reasoning being things like digital tends to be more corporate driven than hotel, and so we don't want to actually penalise the hotel score based on things that might be outside of your control. Now, coming over to this last column on the right, you can see this EI guest connection, and there is an overall score here. You can see at the top 3.07. This is a Likert scale, so a 5-point scale, 1 being low, 5 being high, and it is color-coded accordingly. So you can see with 1s, it's a negative connection, a negative emotional connection. And you're going to see a descriptor word. There are three descriptor words for each band or each color, which just gives the primary emotion to give you a sort of headline word that you can get the gist from. So 1 being negative, these are really very negative emotions, so things like ignored, stressed, and frustrated. 2 is still below standard, if you like, but not quite as bad, and it's going to have descriptor words like disconnected and disappointed and disinterested. And then 3, if you like, 3 is your pass mark. It means you've engaged with the guest. And you'll see descriptor words in there like content and satisfied. So you've made a connection. 4s are more positive, and you're going to see words such as delighted and appreciated, so quite positive connections. And then finally 5s, very, very good connections, and words like special, wowed, and pampered. Now, of course, everyone would like to have everything in the 5s. Realistically, that's quite difficult to achieve because, you know, in real life, you don't always have every interaction you have where you feel ecstatic and, you know, delighted, really special at the end of it. So, your target might want to be the 4s. I think they're very much achievable in most interactions, and it really would show that you're getting a good guest connection with your guests. That said, anything above 3 in this overall means that you are generally connecting well with your guests. So it gives you that kind of bellwether on your guest connection. These 2 scores are independent of each other, but somewhat connected too. So ultimately, these compliance-related standards over here are your building blocks. And if you get to, and we did a little analysis on this, and we see that if you're getting to the sort of 80 to 90% mark in your compliance, you're building a lot of opportunities, creating a lot of opportunities to make these good, positive guest connections over here. Okay, at the top of the page here, just to talk you through some download options, we can download the entire report into PDF, including all of the commentary, or we can download the blank standards. Now, this is another reason that we're going to provide you with access to this page as a sample, but you'll be able to come in here and download the blank standards. This might be your first port of call when you get access to the site to get the standards and then to share those internally so that everyone can start to assimilate and understand what is expected from them. Over here we have a language selector. There are several languages available. If you change the language here and then open the section, I'll just do one so you can see, it will open in the language that you have selected. And also your downloads in PDF format. Sorry, that's taking a little longer than expected. But there we go. So you can see the standards have changed into the language that you have selected. And also these downloads in PDF will work in the language that you have chosen. And the last thing I want to show you on this summary page is a different toggle up here. In fact, too, this sample site just shows you benchmark here, but yours will be divided a bit like this one, where you'll see benchmark on the left and you will see brand standards on the right. So if you need to or would like to review your brand standards, you can switch between this view and the view with the brand standards. And lastly, this view here, we're currently viewing by category, so that is front of house, housekeeping, food and beverage, but we do have the option to go into something called performance classifications. Now, all the same standards are still marked in the same way, but the calculation is different. So rather than adding them up at a departmental level, we put each standard into one of these 8 performance classifications. This can be a very useful way of identifying weaknesses and strengths. And we can see in this demo here, for example, sales opportunity 48.7. This would highlight that we have a need to address sales opportunities within the property. We can also see an EI behavioural score, and this one's important because these are very high frequency standards, there are 13 of them, that reoccur in every section of the report where you have face-to-face interactions, a little bit like the guest connection score we saw on the right. Those 13 standards are things like using the guest name, interacting in a personalized manner with the guest, providing an anticipatory service. And because they reappear in every section and are so high frequency, they make up about 23% of your overall score, so a key part of the assessment. And you can see it's got a score over here of 85.3. So if I just click onto this to show you what happens when we open up the section, you'll see the EI guest behavioural here at the top, and then a breakdown showing only the departments that are included or include EI behavioural standards. You'll notice that, for example, the housekeeping arrival and the servicing disappeared because we generally don't have interactions, and the product sections for room, etc., have disappeared. It's interesting that that shouldn't actually be showing in this one. But basically, you'll only see the sections that that have those interactions. And again, if we drill down, if we click onto one of the departments, you will see just the 11 points that relate to emotional intelligence. There you go. Okay. From here, let's come out of this and go back to the dashboard. So I mentioned at the start, this is an overview of your reports that are available. I'm just going to walk you through what they look like here, hopefully. Okay. So at the top, you'll notice we've still got the brand and hotel selector and the date selector, so the same as we saw at the top of the assessment summary. This first circle represents our hotel overall score, and you can see again the variance as well. The second dial over here is looking at that guest connection score, and we did see that at the top. It actually had an extra decimal place, so it said 3.07. Here you can see 3.1 and where you rate on that. Next to that, we have the ability to see how we're competing against our set, our competitive set. If I click onto here, you will see that overall with this score, we are 4th out of 8 competing hotels. Now, I'll talk about the competitive set in just a moment, but for now, just to suffice to show the ranking. And here in our EI guest connection, we also have a ranking. We're a little bit further behind in this regard, so 7th out of 8. And as we start to scroll down, we get various top-level reports, if you like. This first one is benchmarking by department. So we'll see overall here, 4th out of 8, and in the bubble, our hotel score, 85.2. So matching with what we see here and here. Underneath the line is our scores of our competitive set. So the lowest of our competitors scored 73.8 and the highest 94.4. This average here in the middle. And the color coding will help you just identify where you sit in that range. So the yellow means you're within 2% of average, red 2% below, green 2% above. You've got a breakdown by category here, and if we want to break this right down to departmental level, we can by following this link here, or by following the benchmarking link at the top of the page, which I will do in just a few minutes. The next report is using that EI guest connection score, that Likert scale of 1 to 5. And this axis here represents the guest journey. So we can see the reservations and the arrival to the hotel on the left and the departure over here on the right. And hovering over at any point, we can see what that connection level was. So a guest journey on connection. Next report is another benchmarking report, so similar to the one at the top, but this time we're using those performance classifications, those 8 buckets that I showed you on the assessment summary page. It got the same idea with the color coding, so we can quickly identify strengths and weaknesses. And what's interesting on here in this example is we can see here is that low score on sales opportunities. It's showing up here, but over here on the right, for food quality, we can see that although we scored, what seems like a more respectable score of 82.9, we were actually 8th out of 8 in our competitive set versus only 7th out of 8 on sales opportunities. So what we're doing here is we're being able to see not only how we're doing in these classifications, but how we're doing against our competitors. Next report is improvement opportunities, and this looks at high-frequency standards and the impact that can be made by focusing on these.
我听不见你说话 ，Oliver。
So we can see, for example, personalizing the interaction. They're mostly going to be your high frequency EI standards. So personalizing guest name, anticipatory service that I mentioned. And we can see here that we have 14 opportunities to meet this standard, of which we achieved 4. Over here in the circle on the left, we can see the hotel overall score. And if I click Simulate Perfect Score on the right, you'll see this changes to 14 out of 14. And it's showing us that we would have scored 1.5% higher had we met all of these personalization standards. Now we can do that for all 5 standards if we want, and we can see that these 5 standards alone are worth 3.5% on the overall score. So if you're looking for things like standard of the week or month, then this is a great place to start, where you're going to make the most impact on your guest experience. Okay, at the bottom here we've got trending. This is pretty self-explanatory, how your scores are changing over time. This is the hotel overall. We only have 2 assessments in here, but as you get up to 6, you'll see a bigger trend. And you can drill this down to department level as well, so you can really see at reservations level or breakfast, whatever it is that you want to get more insights into how your scores are changing over time. Lastly, we have department performance over here. This is the highest 5 and lowest 5 departments when compared to your competitive set, those 8 hotels. So not just your highest 5 scores, but actually where you're doing best against your competitors and the variance to the average. So we can see in Turndown, for example, we're 17.8 points ahead of our average competitor. Whereas down here we can identify our weaknesses. For example, reservations, we know we had a low score there. And we can see we're trailing 26 points behind our competitive set. Okay, so that's really the dashboard. The last part that I want to go through today is the benchmarking with you, just to show you what this looks like. Up here you can see what our competitive set is. Now, for most of you, when you first log in, unless we've already got to this, I'm not sure yet, this will say a default set. A default set works by an algorithm based on the location of your hotel. So if your hotel is in London, it will look for other hotels within the same sector, luxury, that the LQA assesses in London, and it will create a set. Now, we will be working with you and with your corporate team to develop customized sets, as you can see here. And that means that you don't have to be bound by the location of the hotel or by all hotels within that destination, so you can vary the numbers and provide a more meaningful set. You can see this is a custom set, and right here we can see who's in it. So these 7 hotels, they're all in Paris. And this is who the competitive set will be against. Now, you might have noticed we were looking at 8 competitors in the other reports, and indeed here you can see 4th out of 8, and here it says 7. That is because your hotel is the 8th hotel in the set, so these 7 plus you form this rating here, or ranking. To the right, we can see the hotel overall score. There it is again, 85.2 above the line, and the low, average, and high of our competitive set. And beneath that, we have the breakdown by category and department. So we can see exactly where we sit against our competitive set. Now you'll notice the little arrow here. If I click on this one for overall, it will drop down a little chart like this that we can scroll a bit through, and you'll see that our hotel is the grey one here, and then we can see who is above us and below us. You will see all of the individual scores of the competitors, but the bit that we can't tell you obviously is which name. We've got the names up here, but we don't tell you which name exactly goes with which score, just where you sit in relation to that set. All of these reports can be downloaded into PDF and Excel up here in the right-hand corner, and you'll see that you can also toggle this one into that performance classifications view, should you wish. I think that we're going to stop there to leave some time for Ryan to show you the app. On the next session, we will delve into some of the online tools that you can be using, such as the training, the self-assessments, and the action plans. Okay. I seem to have lost the share. I think, Maria, did you maybe take that back?
Yeah, Nick, I'll chime in. I think I'm good. I'm able to take back over the screen share here, so I'm going to jump right in.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name's Ryan. I'm the implementation specialist here at LQA for our incredible mobile app, My LQA. I've been with the company for nearly 3 years now as one of our auditors and mystery guests, and also as a facilitator with our upfront training team. As I'm still doing assessments and might even be visiting one of your properties sometime soon, I'm going to remain off camera for today. But that does not mean I do not want your engagement, so take advantage of your reaction button. Feel free to use it, and this is my stand-in for the oohs and ahs I would normally get if I'm doing this in front of a crowd, so thank you for your emoji support. Over the past year, I've had the privilege of focusing on and rolling out My LQA, working directly with our partners around the globe to integrate the app into their daily operations. Before my time with LQA, I was a guest experience director at a 1,000-room luxury hotel in the U.S., and I only wish I had this amazing app when I was still in ops. So today I'm going to give you a quick but powerful look at My LQA. It's the industry's first app designed to put the standards directly in the hands of every team member. So over the next couple minutes, I'll show you what the app is, why it matters, and how it works. And our focus today is going to be on the basics, self-assessments. So my goal for today is to make sure everybody can leave this demo feeling comfortable and confident with creating and conducting your first self-assessment. So real quick, by a show of emojis, who is already using My LQA? I know a lot of us are still waiting on access before we can, but I love to see that a few of us are already working within the platform, so this is great. For all of you and for everybody else, I'm going to take the approach for this as if it's our first time looking at it. So let's dive in. So first, why have we made My LQA? Right? Before we get into what it is, it's important to understand why it is. In luxury hospitality, excellence really is more than just meeting the standards. It's about empowering every team member to live those standards daily. My LQA bridges the gap between training sessions and your assessments and keeps the momentum going year-round, giving your teams real-time tools to assess your operations, work on improvement, and collaborate together. It's our way of turning standards into action. LQA assessments give you the insight into your performance, and that's just on a sporadic once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year basis, depending on what you've agreed on as a hotel. They help you understand where you stand. The upfront training then continues to build on that by developing team knowledge and confidence. And My LQA is the empowerment piece. It's the tool that ensures both the assessments and the training live on in your daily operations. It's what keeps the standards alive in between the LQA visits. So service excellence becomes a part of your culture. So as I mentioned, the app has a ton of great features, from action planning and custom checklists to learning tools and news feeds. We are going to get into all of that over the next couple of months, but as I said, today we'll be focused on self-assessments and just a broad look at the app itself. The self-assessments are simple. They're simple to use, they create an immediate impact, and they're the easiest and fastest way to start building daily ownership across your team. And as I said before, my goal today is that you will feel confident diving right into the self-assessment platform as soon as you start using the app. So with that, let's begin. Give me just a moment, and I am going to share my screen for the app. All right, and we are looking at our dashboard right now on the app. Real quick to note, I am running the app right now through a MacBook. So this is the Mac desktop-based version of the app. Sometimes it looks and feels a little bit different than it will on the mobile device, but it's the best way for me to show you through Teams today. So the first thing that we're seeing is our dashboard. It is your performance snapshot, and it's what you see as soon as you open the app. Just like on the website, at the top right, we're seeing the date of our most recent assessment, and you can drop down here to select from one of your 6 most recent assessments. Here you're looking at your latest assessment score, and you can toggle between the panes here to see your EI behavioral score. And if you have any brand-specific standards, you will see those listed on a separate pane as well. Scrolling further down, we see our benchmarking and trending data. Checks your progress over time. You can use this nice slider right here to toggle back and forth through time through your previous assessments. And clicking See All wherever you see it will bring up a more detailed view of that section. For example, here when we bring up the See All on the benchmarking, we are able to dive into each of the sub-departments. So we can click on front of house and see how all of the subsections within front of house have scored. Going back to our dashboard, at the very bottom, you have this fun improvement opportunities tool. This is a nice way, as we just saw from the website, a similar function here, but through the app, you can actually select a custom set of missed standards. So if I just want to simulate my improvement in score based on anticipatory service and collaboration, for example, just looking at those two standards alone, if we were to achieve those, we could simulate a 1.1% boost in our overall score. Pretty cool. Moving over to our Assessments tab. The Assessments tab gives you full access to the LQA reports. Now, these are your secret shop, mystery inspection reports. So again, looking at the top right here to select the date of the report we want to review. Right now, we're looking at our report from the 24th of June this summer. Through the Assessments tab, we can also see our star employee. So here at the Inspectors In, of course, our demo hotel environment for my LQA, we see Jacques Clouseau, one of our famed star employees, listed right at the top of that most recent assessment. But we can drop down here and see the different sections of the report as well. So I can dive right in and start reading the comments from the auditor. Any audio files that are uploaded will play right here through the app as well. So this is great for our reservations calls. And if you could imagine, for housekeeping to see all of those photos. Clicking Not Met will bring all of the Not Met standards to the top. So if I want to just focus on those areas of opportunity first, nice, easy way to do that. But you can see, you can thumb through the entire LQA report here. So it's a nice way to complement the website, the LQA website that is, with immediate access to all of the reports. Now, one thing you might be wondering, if you are putting this report into the palm of all of your employees, is what happens if a name is mentioned by an inspector? Well, within the MyLQA app, we anonymize the name. So any name mentioned in a report will just be shown as the employee. So this just allows for a little bit of privacy for anyone that you have reading these reports. Moving over to the news feed. The news feed you can think of as your hotel's internal blog. It's a great place to share team updates, best practice articles, and bulletins. So you can see here, obviously really exciting for all of us, updated LQA standards coming soon. So coming soon for 2026 and beyond. You can do a little blog post about that for all of your users. Really nice, perfecting the arrival experience. This is a great way to get any of your colleagues involved in the app. I mentioned earlier, this is the empowerment piece. So one great way I've heard of our partners using the newsfeed is to have their team contribute with writing articles for it. So it's a great way to bring people into this process, to make them feel proud of the content that they're sharing. And of course, you can get brand level updates as well. The Learning Hub, it puts training content in everyone's pocket, access to our videos, quizzes, resources on standards, and emotional intelligence, anytime, anywhere. So no longer are the days of having to huddle around a computer in the back office to access all of this great content. Any MyLQA app user will have it right now in the palm of their hand. Lastly, going over to the My Actions Hub right in the center. This is where the real work happens in the app. From here, you can create and manage your self-assessments, your action plans, and your My Audit checklists. It's designed to make taking action fast, easy, and straightforward. So whether you're tracking missed standards or running your monthly department check, this is where it is all going to be beginning, right in the My Actions Hub. Today's focus, as I mentioned, will be on self-assessments. So this is where you are going to see the fastest results. Remember, they give you an immediate, realistic view of your performance, so there should be no surprises when the LQA inspector comes. So there are two types of self-assessments you can create in the app. I'm going to show you both today. The first is the quick self-assessment, and this is perfect for capturing observations on the spot. like if you're joining a lunch service or checking a guest room for a housekeeping arrival, for example. The second way to do it is an assigned self-assessment. This is where you can split the sections of the assessment across different colleagues. It makes it a little bit more manageable because you can delegate out to the different colleagues. But let's start with our quick self-assessment. So from our My Actions hub, we would create new. For anyone following along at home, feel free to jump in now. Then we're going to click Create Self-Assessment. And for example here, let's say that we're going to do an assessment on servicing. So we'll use housekeeping. I'm going to click on housekeeping here and click servicing. Scroll all the way to the bottom. Quick self-assessment. This alert here is just letting me know that I cannot assign this to anyone else. This is going to be assigned to me to complete. And then within seconds, I am right within the report. I can begin marking standards as met, not met, adding my comments here.
Luxury 的那个 LQA 嘛，但是它已经快结束了，到4点钟结束了。有3点哦。对，应该还有一个。
Real quick, I'm just going to mute everyone. I know everyone's really excited to start talking about self-assessments. I love the energy. Okay, thank you. So back to our self-assessment here. You can add your comments, and through the app, this is an app exclusive feature, you can attach photos to individual missed standards. So attaching photos to your individual missed standards, another great way to take advantage of the app's tools. And this is a question that came up in Q&A already, so I think I'll address it while we're here. All of these photos are viewable on the website through the LQA dashboard, but they will not export into PDF. So any pictures that you do add in to your self-assessments, you will be able to view online, and anyone with admin access can view all of the self-assessments that have been completed, including those attachments, but they will not export at the moment in the PDF. So just want to put that out there. So for the sake of time, let's just assume we've completed our entire housekeeping, servicing, self-assessment here, and at the bottom I want to highlight 2 great areas and again exclusive features for doing self-assessments within the app. Number 1 is the ability to tag a user. To tag a user, this is how I can tag the results of this self-assessment to any specific user so that we can run reports and see how that user is doing over time. That could be for any report that they've been tagged on. To tag a user, they must first be listed on the LQA website as a user. To tag a user, they do not have to have an app license, but they must be registered on the LQA dashboard. So for example, if I wanted to tag Jane here, Jane is, let's say, the housekeeping attendant that serviced this room, or maybe she's the supervisor that I want to track all of these scores against, I can tag her in this section. The next thing I want to point out is the room number or name. For example, if some of your rooms have names or suite names, for example. But otherwise, with room numbers, you want to make sure that the room numbers are the same every time. And by the same, I mean the same naming convention. So if we're going with 1, 2, 3 as the format, that's great, but not 0, 1, 2, 3 or pound 1, 2, 3. The system will register these as different room numbers, so just important to remember that everybody at the property is using the same naming conventions when putting in the room number or name. The same would apply for food and beverage, where you're going to put in your food and beverage outlets. So that's our quick self-assessment. Really easy, really fast, and allows us to start tracking data against specific users. We'll save this so we can get back to it later if we wanted, but of course if we felt everything was complete, we would click Submit here, and then we would have those results saved on our dashboard. The next type of self-assessment I am going to show you today is our assigned self-assessments. Assigned self-assessments, like I mentioned, is a way to break apart a report, a larger report, and delegate different subsections of that report to any number of colleagues. So through the My Actions hub, create new, create self-assessment, and we're going to be back to the screen where we can select any of the different areas of the hotel that we want to assess. But for our assigned self-assessment example, let's assume that we are, I'm the director of food and beverage, and I need to do our weekly food and beverage inspection. Because every every week at the Inspectors Inn, we do a full self-assessment of all of our departments. So let's look at breakfast first. I'm feeling hungry this morning, so I'm going to start by assigning this to myself to complete. And we'll say the due date for this is going to be by the end of this week, right? This is our weekly assessment. And now this is our week 43 F&B audit. Now, it's important that your subject lines are consistent with how you want to group this assessment. So as I mentioned, this example, this is a food and beverage weekly audit. So I'm going to title that here. And this might be any specific notes you want to give to the person you're assigning it to. For this case, we'll just say, remember to test seating sequence. All right. Now, instead of clicking finalize, we're going to click save and assign more. This brings me back to the selection page where I can go back to food and beverage. I see breakfast is already taken care of. Now I'm going to assign restaurant service. So I click on restaurant service and I can assign that to another employee. Now you see the due date and the subject line are locked here, so I can't change that. That's part of this grouped self-assessment, this grouped assigned self-assessment. And we'll assign this to one of our great inspectors, Thomas Magnum, better known as Magnum PI for anyone following retro crime thrillers back home. Thomas Magnum here doing the restaurant assessment, and any notes, again, if there's anything specific we want to give for Thomas here, we could put that note. Otherwise, it is a mandatory field, so if we have nothing to add, just not applicable. Save and assign more, and then this goes on and on, as you can see. It's very, very simple and easy to continue to add users to this process. You can also select more than one. It doesn't just have to be one, but I wanted to show you. I can select multiple parts of this assessment, and it doesn't have to be within food and beverage as well. So that's our assigned self-assessment. Let's assume I've filled out as much of this as I'd like. I can click finalize and see a summary of what parts of the assessment I've assigned and to whom. I can make edits or changes here if I'd like, or if I feel comfortable, I can click send. This self-assessment assignment has now been created, and any user that's been assigned an assessment will see that in their notifications window. They will also get a notification via email. So you'll also see as the assigner who has completed their assessments as well, right through your notifications window. So that's it. Those are the two fast ways that you can create and manage your self-assessments. Managing them, viewing the progress, always through the My Actions hub here, so you can see the percentage of completion, how far along is it. If it's been completed, I can go in and I can actually view the report here. But I do want to comment that the website dashboard is going to be the place to view everything when it comes to your self-assessments. So anything that has been conducted on the self-assessment, the website dashboard is still the fastest and easiest place to access all that information. Any admin user can access any self-assessment that's been conducted on property. So important for that to note. Otherwise, you will only have access to self-assessments that you have assigned or that have been assigned to you. And that's all I'm planning to show you on the My LQA app today. Again, a lot more to come next month when we're looking at some of the more advanced features like editing the news feed, starting your first My Audit, and getting started with action plans. So give me a moment. I'm just going to stop my screen share here, and I am going to share the screen really quick on the website dashboard to show you what it looks like when you are getting your first users registered. Any questions that are coming up, please direct them to the Q&A channel on our Teams call. Okay, right now we are looking at the LQA website dashboard, and as an admin, I am able to manage my users. So this feature is only available to our website admins. Now you want to go to Management, Manage Users, and this is how we're going to turn a regular website. This is how we're going to turn a regular website user into an app user. So today we have our colleague Buck Vernon, and Buck does not have access yet, or rather, we're gonna show you what it looks like to give him access for the first time. So under Buck, I'm going to edit and I see that the box for app active is not ticked. Now, this box will only appear when you have an active app subscription. So once you have your My LQA subscription active, you can then go to any user, select app active, and then this field will appear. So we just have to re-enter his job title, his user level. This is more about his title. So he would be a department manager, and then the user access level. This is if we want to restrict different areas of the reports that he's able to see within the app. For example, if I only want him to see food and beverage or front of house, I can select that here. But we definitely recommend making sure everyone, to get the full impact, has full access. Scrolling further down, this is a new field that has appeared as well, and this is to give app access to Buck. So I start by selecting our brand and then the specific hotel. Important to click the add button here. The add button will make sure that gets properly added. And bear with me, I'm just having a minor web issue. Here we go. And one more time. There we go. We can see that this has been successfully added when it appears as a blue bubble under the field. So these look good. The add button is now grayed out, and now I can update user, and now Buck has been given app access. One thing I want to show you as we bring back into the edit feature for Buck, we can now see an access code has been identified for Buck. Now, to register for the app for the first time, you're going to need this code, or Buck is going to need this code here. So I'm going to show you really quick what the registration process looks like for the first time on the app. We have to use our access code in combination with our monthly hotel secret key. And we can find that through the Manage Users page right here. So we see the code for the month is orange. Now give me one moment while I launch back to my app, and I'm going to show you the adding this user. Okay, now this is what the app will look like for the first time when you haven't created an account yet. You haven't finished the registration process, so it's important to not enter your credentials right away, but to go down to the bottom, select register. Now this is where you will need that code and then the secret key. Once you click verify, it will bring you back to the next screen, which will allow you to enter your password, and then you'll have access to the app. So it is that simple. Just remembering for the first time, you cannot automatically use your website credentials. You must first click the registration button. So once again, once the foundation is in place here, the rest flows naturally. So think about My LQA, not about adding more work, but just making excellence part of the everyday routine. By doing these self-assessments regularly, you keep your standards alive, you build more accountability across your team, and give them more confidence in the service they deliver. So thank you all so much for joining today, and I am staying on for our Q&A.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and thank you, Nicholas, for the demos. I'm just going to go over, before we go to the Q&A, I'm just going to go over just a recap. Just give me 1 second. I'm resharing my screen. Okay. So let me just go to the next steps. Perfect. I think you should all be able to see my screen. So just a few quick reminders and next steps. So we covered this on our last call, but I wanted to show you this again as a refresher. As you know, we are on step 1. We are on basically step 2 to kind of make sure that we have everything we need for the LQA app. Basically, we're going to do this until November 13. We've asked that general managers complete the step 2 and submit the smart sheet form by October 10th. The email was sent in September by the continent quality leaders, and the key input being the submission of the blockout dates. And basically, you were able to choose up to 3 sets of 5 days where LQA will not visit your hotel. You could also sign up for the feedback class sessions and express interest in training. Note that if you did not sign up for the feedback class session, this will be locked in by the LQA team. So if you did sign up. Once the smart sheet, you will also confirm your property champion, who will be the key point of contact for the hotel. And then looking at step 3, you basically will receive, the property champion will receive the access to the LQA and My LQA app from the LQA team via email in the next week, and will ensure that all team members at your property that need access will have access. By the end of November, then, you will have completed step 4 and selected your custom LQA competitive set. I already saw a message coming through the chat on the LQA competitive set. So guidance on how to choose and submit will be provided by your continent quality leaders. So look out for that communication. Then in step 5 and 6, all of your supporting tools and resources will be live on DaVinci, and we recommend you visit and become more familiar by the end of November. We also recommend to familiarize yourself with the 2026 LQA standards. I do want to mention that the bespoke standards by brand will actually be available in early November, so you'll have access to everything. Then step 7 and 8, before the end of the year, we really encourage you to review your local SOPs, integrate the LQA standards, and support internal communication, training, and practice. And really, step 8 should be implemented as an ongoing practice. And then also for hotels that are on the Forbes journey, you will have supporting resources posted on DaVinci for you. Going into a refresher on DaVinci, as a reminder, this is your one-stop shop for tools and resources that will support you on your quality assessment framework implementation and beyond. And you can select each of the tiles you see on the right, and it will take you to tools and resources in each of these categories. Under the luxury assessment framework tile, you will find the tools and resources you see on the left listed, including the updated 2026 LQA standards, webinar recordings, including the first call and also this call eventually, the integration guide, LQA hotel presentation, a pocket guide, quiz cards, bespoke standard comparison. So look out as well for those. We also have many of the LQA and My LQA support documents on DaVinci, and you can access DaVinci directly through the link, so encourage you to bookmark and save it. And you can also save it in your eTools on MGS to add it to your navigation bar. And we really hope that you will find these resources helpful to assist in your rollout and then sustainment in the LQA program. And for what's next immediately, we have part 3 of the series coming. So make sure that you registered. So for part 3, which is focused on driving performance, this will be our final session, and we will shift to the performance. So how to interpret the reports, identify insights, and use action plans, and as well share best practices from hotels that are already applying the framework. So that was a lot of content, I know, but this is now time for our Q&A, and I will just stop the recording so that we can address your questions. Thank you so much. And I think Nicholas and Ryan, you had a look already at the at the questions that have come through so we can start.